I'm Vanessa Keir. Welcome to Getting Started with Scrivener, Part 1, What's All the Fuss About? 3 reasons why Scrivener is my go-to writing tool. Scrivener is one of those programs that causes people to either love it or hate it. People who hate it complain that it's too complicated, it takes too much time to learn, and or that Scrivener can't do the things they want it to do. But here are 3 reasons why I think Scrivener is definitely worth learning. First, views. One of my favorite features of Scrivener is the way it allows you to get a big picture view of your writing in a variety of view modes. First, there's the binder. That's this sidebar over here on the left. And as you can see, it holds all the items in this project. So it has not just items in the manuscript up here, but it also has down here some character information, some places information, some research and template sheets, etc. So already you can see that this is giving you an idea of how this project has been structured. One of the things that I love the most about the binder is that you can move things around. So for example, if down here under this already used section, I decide that I want to change and have the cover letter be before the synopsis, all I have to do is drag it and it reorders it in the binder. Likewise, if I wanted to move this urban fantasy folder up, I could just drag it up above the other folder I've already used. And as you see, when I went up to the folder at the urban fantasy level, it brought up what's called the corkboard view. And one of the helpful things about the corkboard is that you can also drag and drop things around. So if I click back on that already used folder, you see I have my 4 documents here, but maybe I'm going to move this Jane yells at her brother to the end. So again, this gives me a big picture idea of how my documents are ordered. And I can also do this in my outliner view, which if you go up to your toolbar, you'll see that there's these 3 segments in this one long icon. This last one on the right is for the outliner. And again, you can drag these around here and it will change them in the binder. Something else that's nice about the corkboard view is you have these index cards, and as you can see here, you can put some text on here. The default is if you haven't written any text in the synopsis area, which is over here in this right-hand sidebar, which is called the inspector. This top part is your synopsis. If you haven't written anything over there, then what shows up on this index card is the beginning of your document. In this case, the document happens to only be 1 word, but if I click on this, I can just create an outline of what's happening in that document. It goes on the card. It pops to the right over here on my inspector as well. And some people who are outliners can plot their entire novel just in this corkboard view by just going through and typing brief summaries to themselves of what's happening in that scene. I tend to do this after the fact. I'm a little bit more of a discovery writer or pantser, so I tend to do this during the editing phase. The outliner view also lets you see your synopsis text here. So if I decided that down here I also wanted to write a little summary, I could just hit return. And then you can see that it appears over here in the synopsis area for that item in the inspector. And again, this is something that you could do if you are an outliner or after the fact as you're going through and trying to figure out what you've already written. The second reason I really think that Scrivener is an extremely valuable tool is the use of color. And you can already see that here in the outliner. And you can see it to a greater extent in the binder. You can see that different items have different colors. So what you're seeing here for everything that's got a color associated with it is that I set up something that's called a label, and then I assigned a color to that label, and then I told Scrivener, show the label color in the icon and in the outliner here. So you can see that this column here is for a label, and this purple color here means that it's a dialogue item. I typically use label to indicate point of view in my own documents. This is just a demo document I created for one of my courses. In my own work, I tend to use labels to indicate point of view for a scene. Scrivener lets you assign one label per item, so I will frequently use one color for the hero, one color for the heroine, one color for the villain, and so on and so forth for as many point of view characters I have. And then that means when I'm looking at my binder, all I have to do is just give it a quick look, and I can see if I have too many character points of view from the hero versus the heroine. In nonfiction, if I'm writing blog posts, I will maybe use label instead to indicate whether something's a draft or whether it's in revision or whether it's final. You could also see your label colors in your corkboard. You can see here that the purple shows up for Jane yells at her brother. And if I assigned one to the synopsis, let's call this character notes, then that now shows up with a red, not just in the icon, but also down the side of the index card. So that's another way that you can just get a quick, big picture sense of what's going on in your manuscript by taking a glance at the corkboard and looking at the balance of how your colors are showing up. And then the third thing that I wanted to say that I love about Scrivener is the targets. So I have added the target icon to my toolbar here. So if I click on that, or if I go up to project and my targets, you can see here that you can set a manuscript target and you can set a session target. So as you progress towards your target, this little bar here will change from red to green, and likewise for your session target, it will go from red to green. So for example, if I was doing NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, where I'm supposed to be writing 50,000 words in a month, I would set a manuscript target of 50,000. I would set that here. And then my session target would be, I think it's about 1,667 words per day. And since I'm usually writing one session per day, I would put that in here and it would show me my progress. And this is a little window that you can keep open as you're writing. And there's also a per text document target, which is down here in the lower right on the footer. And this is helpful if, for example, you know that you want all of your scenes to be a specific word count, or if you're writing a blog post and you have a maximum number of words that you can put in there, you might set that as your word count and keep an eye on it as you're typing. This does not float and stay open, but as you're writing, the little circle thing down here will start to change color. Now this is Scrivener 3 for the Mac, which is the most recent version. And one of the things I really like about that is that it has a writing history. And so it shows you how many words you've been typing per day that you've been in this project. And again, this is a demo project, so this is not really a very useful table, but it's a good way of keeping a running tally of your word count, and it's automatically set to go on, so you don't have to worry about ticking it on. For those of you who have Windows machines, this will be available in the next version of Scrivener. For Windows, Scrivener 3 for Windows should be out sometime this year, and this video is being recorded in 2018. So personally, if you have not yet bought Scrivener and you are on a Windows machine and you don't mind waiting, I would suggest you wait until Scrivener 3 is out, because there will be a very steep learning curve from the current version of Windows Scrivener to the next version. There are many more features of Scrivener that I can't live without. However, I think the three that I presented here, the different views, the use of colors, and the targets, are some of the most compelling reasons for trying Scrivener. The one thing you need to remember about Scrivener is that it's a program to help you write and organize your work. It doesn't have some of the super complex features that a word processing program has. So if you're looking for something that can do macros and create tables that can automatically calculate, or have super fancy formatting for tables, then this is not the program for you. But personally, I prefer to have something that I can easily drag and drop my items around in my binder and have a good visual system for figuring out what's going on with my point of view characters or my statuses, etc. So I love Scrivener, which is why I am doing this series of videos and why I coach writers in Scrivener and teach online classes on how to use Scrivener. So I suggest that if you found any of these arguments compelling, you give Scrivener a try with their 30-day free trial. And in the next video, I will talk about how to go ahead and set up your project in Scrivener. Until then, happy writing.